The following is
Opinionated, this is opinions. So I somewhat recently, not very recently, maybe a year ago, watched the movie Unhinged. I quite liked it actually. The acting was actually pretty excellent, I'd say, and the storyline's just overall pretty good, and the visuals are also pretty good, and I really like the plotline. That being said, though, after I watched the movie, I went to YouTube. Maybe y'all don't do this, but I looked up reviews for the movie and found this one. Unhinged is dumb. I will say I was interested to see why he thought the movie was mad, because I quite enjoyed it, and I like to hear both sides, but when I listened to the review, I didn't think his views were kinda that good. That being said, though, don't go attack him, even though I'm sure this video is probably not gonna get any views, but don't spread hate to him, please. It's not that big of a deal, guys, come on. Anyways, so to keep this video short, since I probably don't have the motivation to do too much editing tonight, I'm just gonna do basically a lightning round through the review and point out anything that I find worthy of pointing out, I guess. Enjoy.
Unhinged is a new movie starring Russell Crowe, and it is a movie about a man that goes psychotic after a lady honks at him for not going when a light turns green.
This is a tiny nitpick, but the main character honking at him doesn't make him go psychotic. It kind of makes him hit his breaking point, because it's well established in the beginning shots that he already has issues, because in the beginning of the movie he's seen burning presumably his wife and killing her, and I don't know, that seems pretty unhinged to me.
And what precedes is absolute mayhem, mayhem.
What the heck is a mayhem, dude?
Where Russell Crowe basically murders everyone in his way and everyone that's close to this person, or at least attempts to.
See, you know how he brings this up implicitly as an issue? We'll get to that.
And I'm gonna keep things fairly blunt and brief with this movie because I find it abhorrently cynical. And I
don't know, I might just be stupid or something, but who is cynical in this movie? The main character isn't punctual. I don't think that's very selfish of her, or motivated by self, and I don't think she thought Russell Crowe was motivated by selfish means either. I don't think any part of this movie has anything to do with selfishness at all. And yeah, I'm aware the movie shows people texting on their phones while driving, and all these bad, quote-unquote bad people with bad characteristics, but I don't think, it doesn't make it a goal to denote them as selfish. So I don't really agree with the movie being cynical or trying to say that people are cynical either, or even have a cynical mindset.
I find it absolutely vile. I despised every minute of this movie, and I have almost nothing redeeming to say about it. This movie is... I hate everything about it. Multiple times during the movie, Russell Crowe goes on tangents explaining why he's murdering people like he's doing, and it all boils down to him being spat out, chewed up and spat out by the system, and he's so sick of it, and now he's gonna take revenge on anybody that gets in his way or makes him mad, because all he has is hatred left in him because the system chewed him up and spit him out, which is one of the most insufferable parts of this movie.
See, what he's saying here might sound reasonable and sort of logical before you sort of think about it. Because being chewed up and spat out by the system, sure, it's cliche, but also it's realistic. It establishes the reason the character's doing, what he's doing. And the meat and potatoes of the movie, which is the action and thrill of the thriller, is because of that. So yeah, you could say the reason he's doing it is cliche, but that doesn't make his reasonings and character motivations invalid. So yeah, even if his reason is cliche and,
valid critique, even though it's realistic. But does it really negate from the movie at all in like a major or productive way? Like, you can call out his motivations, but at the end of the day, it's a simple character motivation. Even if it is cliche, you're free to, not like his motivation or think it's cliche. But at the end of the day, I don't think this should be one of your big reasons, like the first thing you bring up. All in all, though, I can see where he's coming from.
I absolutely despised its depiction of society. I absolutely and totally disagree fundamentally with everything it has to say about society as well. There's multiple times, and it makes it very evident that it is incredibly cynical towards humans and society as a whole. There's multiple times where the movie literally opens with a montage of people talking about how the society's getting more out of hand and disconnected from each other because of the internet and social media, and everyone's becoming more violent.
Okay, but these claims, they have merit to them. Of course, it's not going to be as violent as World War I or World War II, and violence has actually declined since the pandemic. But violence is still very active. And people getting more disconnected because of the internet, that's real. That is happening. And people getting more out of hand, kind of opinionated, but, I can see where someone would formulate that, and I wouldn't hold it against them at all. And we're back to using the word cynical like it's some buzzword.
Cynical. Incredibly cynical. Cynical.
I don't see any selfishness in this movie at all. Like, I don't know if I'm failing to see it. If anyone knows where any selfishness is in this movie, I'd love to be enlightened. But from everything I can recall, I don't think anyone was, outright stated to be selfish. Maybe the main character wasn't punctual. And Russell Crowe, he's mentally ill. But I don't see anyone being cynical. The lady on the phone, the police, the school she goes to, the clients, I don't see it. I don't know if I'm too stupid to see it or he's just entirely wrong, but I'm really struggling to see where anyone in this movie is outwardly selfish and the movie makes a big deal about it. And that's the thing. If I can't tell that anyone in the movie is selfish, is the movie's main point really about being cynical?
And there's multiple times throughout the movie where you see, for example, someone texting on their phone and trying to drive, and they're swerving in and out of the lane. Someone's trying to do mascara, and they all just get murdered for just trying to do these things.
Hey, so what these things are? That is called being distracted while driving. And generally, I'm pretty sure that it's illegal, actually. I wouldn't know, though. And I think you can get pulled over for it, but it's also not a smart thing to do. So why is this being brought up against the movie? I'm confused, because, those are bad things to do. Maybe they don't deserve to get plowed into, but they're distracted while driving. They should know the risks, and, whatever happens, happens. That's, I don't mean to come off as, unsympathetic, but, you shouldn't drive while just being distracted.
The movie seems to be commenting on people attempting to multitask as a bad thing.
Hey, please don't refer to that illegal action as multitasking, please. You know what? Try bringing that to a judge,
Which, when you're driving, it isn't smart, to be sure, but those people don't deserve to be plowed into by Russell Crowe driving a minivan.
They don't, but they're distracted while driving. They might not deserve it, but it's gonna come to them if they're distracted. Also, here's where my main gripe with this review comes in. I don't think he gets, or fully grasps at least, that it's a thriller action with suspense. People are gonna die, and I don't. You'll see what I mean, because I'm gonna get to this.
and absolutely splatter on the side of a freeway. It is so insufferably cynical. And there is a scene that encapsulates this perfectly when Russell Crowe goes to a diner and confronts the main character's lawyer. The main character is a single mother who is divorcing her husband, who we never see, and her lawyer is a friend, so he's doing it pro bono, and Russell Crowe goes to meet with him because he steals the main character's phone and finds out that she's meeting with him at this diner. So he goes there and he murders them in front of everybody. And the movie makes it sure to painstakingly show that nobody in the diner is doing anything about it. People are filming it on their phones, and people are cowering in their booths. And at one point, Russell Crowe even says to the main character after he calls her on a phone that he left her in her car, he says, Andy can't come to the phone right now. And she's like, why? And he goes, watch the news later. I'm sure there'll be hundreds of videos of it. And it was at that moment, which was about 30 to 40 minutes in, that I basically wrote off the rest of this movie.
Ooh, boy, I love this part. Okay, so this is where apparently a lot of people started to get, their suspension of belief it snapped. It's over. I don't know why, though? Because it makes sense. Do you see Russell Crowe? He's like 175 pounds. He's a big guy. No one's gonna tackle him or KO him. Like, no, that is not happening.
What did you do?
Well, why don't you get yourself to a TV? There's gonna be a lot of videos soon.
You put him on the phone. You put him back on this goddamn phone. You put him back on this goddamn phone!
But, sure, maybe, just maybe, that would happen. But everyone who's just laying back, they aren't in the wrong. They aren't bad for that. And yeah, it kind of does make sense. Because they just watched him kill a guy with a utensil. Like, I think it was plastic from the restaurant. No one's gonna approach that guy. Because they just saw him kill someone. And he's buff. He's big. And he's buff. I'd like to see you fight him. Okay, that's a joke, but like, holy dude. I don't get. I mean, I'm not gonna blame your suspension of belief from snapping there, but it doesn't make sense to me why it would be there. Maybe I'm missing something.
And that I basically wrote off the rest of this movie because it is just vile.
You know what a courtesy tap is, young man? Sounds like this. It's light. It's friendly. I'm sure that's what your mom meant to do.
No, it's not. Mom!
But I guess we should talk about the main character because she's the main character. Again, she's a single mom to her boy named Kyle, and she is kind of a lazy, unresponsible slob, for lack of a better word. Everybody seems to have common knowledge that she runs late to everything, she blows off things, and she loses clients for her hair salon or hairstyling because she's always running late. Like, she gets fired by one of her clients because she's 20 minutes late. And that's her character. And that's a horrible, horrible, horrible way to start a movie with your main character, because
See, I'm gonna have a spoiler here. Essentially, what he's about to say is that he's gonna say she's a bad person and therefore, I guess, a bad character, which doesn't make sense to me. Because characters don't have to be good people necessarily. Her character arc is that she's not as punctual, and yeah, she's going through a tough spot in life because, again, the divorce attorney that you mentioned a few seconds ago, she's going through a tough time. She's working a single job with the uncle and the uncle's girlfriend there. It's tough on her, which, of course, no excuse to, be late or lose clients or stuff like that, but she's sympathetic because she's going through a tough spot. And it's better than no excuse at all. Better than calling her a lazy slob, that's for sure. I'll let him continue.
The reason why I don't like her is because A, she's just not likable, and B, she isn't that relatable.
Here's what I was talking about before. Basically, he says that she's a bad character. And the reason I say, well, he could be saying she's a bad person. He's not, because why would you mention it? That she's a bad person in your review. And here's what I say. The main character doesn't have to be likable or relatable at all. And, even if you don't like or relate to the character, is that really a flaw with the movie? Like, the main character doesn't have to be someone you like or relate to or that you can live vicariously through. This is a non-issue.
She has relatable struggles, like being late to things, like being a single parent, but she's just not a very good person either. And that's the biggest issue this has, and why I find it so morally reprehensible.
You are bold. You are so bold. She is a bad person when Russell Crowe is in the movie. He's killing the people. Sure. You know what? They're both bad people. Even though she's not. She's going through a struggle where she struggles to do deadlines or is late to things, and people know her for that. Is she a bad person for that? Really? Is she really morally reprehensible? Are we serious? This is what we consider a bad person when Russell Crowe is in the movie.
Because there isn't a good person in this movie.
Does there have to be?
Everybody is conveyed as if they are just, like, the worst. And
No, they're not. This is so just blatantly wrong. The worst they could be. Sure, you know what? She is extremely punctual, and Russell Crowe is extremely unhinged. Who else? No one. Literally no one. No one else. No one else is the worst they could be. I don't even think the two characters are the worst they could be. Sure, Russell Crowe might be the closest to the extreme, but that's it. That's just blatantly wrong to say.
nobody has anything that they do to help anybody. There's one guy that tries to help our main character, and he immediately gets ran over by Russell Crowe. Nobody helps anybody. The police are the only people that ever respond to our main character. Everybody else either cowers, films it, or just like doesn't pay attention. And it's so gross. It feels so wrong.
You know, originally I was gonna write off what he said here, but I find this a little bit interesting. He describes it as gross. See, at first I thought he was making the point as it was a realism issue, but I think that he actually is trying to say that he's grossed out by this kind of movie. And to that I say, then don't watch a gritty thriller action. Simple. I'm sorry if you expect, like, good things or good help from good people, but you have to keep in mind that this is a suspense thriller action. And even thereafter, and even then, I think there's enough effort by the movie to convey that there are helpful people, like therefore aforementioned, the guy at the gas station or the police. The police are prevalent in this movie. Despite what some commenters would say. But I don't think this movie's gross or... Yeah, gross. That's his words, basically. Just because it doesn't have those moments of people helping people. Even though I think it's pretty realistic to do that. And I'm pretty sure he mentioned that... what was it called? He said He said something about society getting more disconnected or out of hand, stuff like that. Isn't that kind of correlated, hand in hand?
Sure, there are people out there that are not going to do anything in a situation where a guy gets murdered at a bar, but I can't believe that everybody would be filming it and everybody would be trying to hide from him.
I'm not even gonna go over this again. You know how I feel about it.
He was just standing there. He didn't have a gun. He didn't have anything. There were plenty of people in the bar, or the diner, that I'm sure would have tried to tackle him or call the cops or something, but it...
I want you to take a long, hard look at Russell Crowe's character and tell me who in that store, in their right mind, is going to try to tackle that man. And they do call the police. You can literally hear the sirens. You can hear them as he's walking out of the diner.
Doesn't make it clear that any of that happens. He just casually leaves after he murders someone in front of everyone. And not only is the main character a little bit of a dark spot for me in terms of being connected to this movie, because she just isn't that good of a person. Like, Russell Crowe offers her an olive branch near the beginning of the movie. Just say sorry to me, and this will all go away. And she basically tells him to F off.
Accept my apology.
Just ignore him.
Well, if you could just do the same, we could press reset.
I don't have anything to apologize for.
She was mean to Russell Crowe's character because, one, she was in a rush, frustrated by traffic, her client dumped her, and she's just all around stressed because of her life, and she has to get her son to school. And I'm pretty sure she didn't expect this entire thing to transpire, so I can kind of see where she's coming from, even though she was rude in that moment. And that certainly does not make her a bad person.
So she's not necessarily a great person, and her struggle is barely understood. She dropped a client dropped her, and she's late to bringing her kid to school. But those are all because of her.
Actually, so unless she could control traffic, I wouldn't say that's on her, actually. Maybe she could have, I don't know, came earlier, but, like, still, she can't control traffic in the moment, yeah. Also, her struggle is understood, but it'd be, like, the third time I've gone over it, so I'm not even gonna mention it again.
Not only is this character, the main character, just somebody that I didn't connect with because I didn't really relate with her struggle, and I found her to be unlikable. But one of the biggest issues that this has is that the premise in and of itself is just not realistic or that interesting.
You know what? Fine. The movie isn't interesting to you. That's great. Some people like thrillers and actions because it makes them feel the thrill and the action. Huh, that's funny. And all movies have some sort of twisting and turning and sort of non-realism to them. Otherwise, of course, Breaking Bad isn't going to happen in real life, but it's fun to watch, even with that sort of unrealism to it. And every movie kind of has that twinge in it.
Again, it's about a guy that gets road rage and starts murdering people, all because he got chewed up and spit out by the system. But people that get chewed up and spit out by a system typically don't take it out on just random people.
Unless you're unhinged. Guys, hear me out. Unless you're unhinged like that movie. The guy is unhinged, and the woman is basically the straw that broke the camel's back, and he takes out his anger on the system on her. Sure, it's not typical, but there'd be no movie if that didn't happen. So, like, I don't know anymore.
Especially not when they going and murdering them. They usually take it back out on the system again, or get suicidal or something. But no, Russell Crowe decides to murder people that have nothing to do with anything just because they honked at him.
Who the heck is they? Anyways, So the people doing the mascara or the people on their phone, those are just collateral damage from him speeding. Like, he doesn't care. He didn't willingly decide, oh my gosh, they're funking up my tempo. I gotta go rear end them. He didn't do that. There is no rhyme or reason to them being dead. They're just collateral to his real goal of, making this lady have the worst day of her life.
It's a completely ridiculous premise that holds no water whatsoever. It's completely ludicrous.
I think you meant to say unhinged there, buddy, but don't worry, I won't dock points for it.
And the biggest issue with it is that you could have a premise like this work if it wasn't so serious. This movie seems to be so self-serious.
Guys, I think you missed out on the part where, the tag said action, thriller, suspense. I wonder why the action, thriller, suspense movie is serious, guys. Hold on. And I really wonder if if a friend showed this movie to him at his house. He was like, bro, you gotta watch this movie Unhinged. And then he had no other prior information, so he just went in and just didn't like his experience and then made this review on it.
And every little thing that happens, it is so dramatic and so melodramatic even, that it is impossible to get into because it is so reprehensible with its message. If it was a little bit lighthearted, or...
Do I even have to say anything? Sure, action movies, they can have some levity in them. Or, not even action, just thrillers. They can have some levity in them, but are we serious? We want the road rage unhinged guy with the car crashes. We want it to have a little bit more comedy in it.
Not even lighthearted or campy, but just had a little bit of levity to it at some points. Then maybe it would be easier to fall into. If the main character was likable, maybe it would be better suited for this movie. But no, everyone is unlikable and it takes itself way too seriously. And so everything falls on its face. And by the end, when you've witnessed tons of people just murdered in cold blood for...
There's 8 deaths in this movie. Pretty tame for a horror.
No good reason. It is impossible to connect with anybody or see that the character had her arc, because she does have an arc, which is after all these people have been murdered, she becomes a responsible parent, which is completely ludicrous.
I genuinely can't believe that multiple family members of hers dying and her lawyer dying changed her. Surely not, right? You're making this up. Right.
With this type of serious premise. Come on!
Now that the review's over, after I watched, I was stunned as to, the points here. So I went to the comments, and shockingly, there were a lot of people agreeing and coming up with points of their own, and I just want to do a lightning round of disproving those really quickly. So here we go. Here's 3 big ones. He's bleeding for literally half the movie. How does he have so much strength? The movie shows him taking narcotics, as he's driving. And assumedly, those are painkillers. Blah, 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 police can't find him. So I think he's traveling so recklessly and at high speeds to where the police, they can't even legally or safely chase him. Because I'm pretty sure there's a protective law where they can't chase someone who's driving really recklessly because it can endanger civilians. Also, they are very prevalent. You can hear them at the diner scene. They're there when Uncle Gary, whatever his name is there. And there's that highway rampage scene as well. They're pretty prevalent and they are there. Her lawyer friend giving away her information was cuckoo, crazy, bananas, insane. So really quickly, Russell Crowe said that he was a friend, and I'm also pretty sure that he gave her phone number or something like that, and he identified himself. So pretty believable for the lawyer, even though he is technically a stranger to the lawyer. And that's it. Wow, this video is long, a lot longer than I thought it'd be.
but I hope there is some insight in somewhere in a way. And if I got anything wrong, feel free to comment about it. This isn't comment bait. I actually just want to know if I made any mistakes here, and thank you for watching.
I just hate this movie, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm done. I'd probably give it a 3, maybe a 2. I just can't. I could not stand it. I almost walked out multiple times. So do yourself a favor and do not watch this. It is not worth your time.